Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and this is how to make a third-person platformer in Unity, and welcome to episode 10. So this episode we're going to carry on because last time we actually created that end screen kind of thing going on with the UI, so we're going to do the mathematics to calculate our total score on that one. We're also going to take a look at a main menu, and we'll also take a quick look at an animated splash screen. So let's get to work with the mathematics of completing our level with the score. So if we open up our finish level script, and if we remember, it takes into account when we cross that trigger, it then does everything it needs to display the score, stop the music, play that little jingle. So in between all of this, we need to add in the maths to kind of calculate our score. And overall, what we're going to do is time left will multiply by 100. And obviously we'll add in together all the gems we've collected, then we'll combine the two to create the total score. So, to do this, we're going to need to reference a couple of scripts. And we're going to need the global score script and the global timer script. And we're going to need to take in, let me see, it's going to be the seconds, and we're going to need to make that a static one as well. So we're going to go public and make sure we're in the global timer script here, guys. Make sure we're in the right one. Public, static, int, and we'll put extend score, semicolon. And in void update, we will make extend score equal to the seconds, if I can spell right, semicolon, and there we go. And let's save that script. And now what we'll do is we will head back into finish level and we'll create a new variable. So public game object, sorry, not game object, it's going to be an integer, isn't it? Of course, int, and we'll just call it time calc, semicolon. So on on trigger enter, sorry, all we'll do is make time calc equals to, and what's this called, global timer dot extend score multiplied by 100, semicolon. And let's save that script. So in doing this, we're going to need to change the actual UI elements here. So if we go to our canvas and go on to is it timer? Sorry, just trying to remember what we have here. Total, yes. Okay, so let's turn these back on. So time left, and current score and total score. I'm going to have these on so we can see what's actually happening here. And because we're going to be dealing with these elements here, I am going to have to use the namespace at the top and have using Unity engine.ui, semicolon. So these are already defined as game objects, which is fine. So on void trigger enter, what we'll need to do is time calc dot get component in spiky brackets text. Sorry, it's not time calc, is it? Which it is time left. My apologies. So time left, which is the game object to display that time left. Open close bracket dot text equals, and in quotes we'll put time left and then colon space close bracket plus time calc plus then open bracket and space, and I'll put x to signify multiplied by 100, close bracket, sorry, close the quote I should say, semicolon, and resave that script. So what's going to happen here is this object is going to say time left and then however many seconds x 100, which means it's going to literally be the pretty much times by 100. Although I have just noticed, because time calc is actually the calculation already, so we'll change this bit here that says time calc, because I'll display the actual seconds instead. So that should be global timer.extend score, then multiplied by 100. So in that same way, we're going to do the same with score. And I'm going to change this to total score as well, rather than just say score. So let's have total score. And it looks like I'm going to need to extend those outwards. So let's take our rect tool and expand and expand and expand with this as well. So we'll see how this displays. We may need to do it a little bit more depending on if we can fit however many seconds multiplied by 100 in the top one. So score, let's work with that one. So all we need to do is do the score dot get component, this spiky brackets text, open close bracket dot text equals, and then we put score in quotes, so remember the space there, and then the quote again, plus global score dot current score semicolon. And at this point, all we'll need to do is create a variable to, in fact, we'll have the variable for global score as well, just in case. So we'll have public int score calc semicolon, and then public int total score semicolon. In fact, I'm going to change that to total scored with a semicolon because I don't want to get too confusing with this. At this point, what we will do is, because time calc is already equal to the total calculation for the timer score, and this variable here within global score already contains that, we add the two together within total scored. So total scored equals global score dot current score plus time calc semicolon. So the last thing we need to do is total score, which is the game object, remember, not total scored, it's total score, this one, dot get component, if I spell it right, and in pointy brackets, it's text open close bracket dot text equals, and then in quotes, total score with the colon, space, quote, and it's plus total scored semicolon, and save. Sorry guys, I had a bit of a problem with my throat today. Oh goodness, sometimes I swear I really do suffer these colds more than anything. So I'm going to move this into the center again because it got misaligned when we extended. So there we go, that's there. And I'll bring score into the center about there as well. And the same with time left about there. And now what we need to do is that finish game trigger. Let's just take a quick look to make sure everything is still in order. It looks good. So now I'm going to turn off these three game objects. And let's give this a go and see if it'll calculate our score correctly. So we've collected a gem there, so we should have 1,000 on that one. And time left. Okay, perfect. So we can see here it's cut off at the end. And what this should be is we just need to expand the time left section just a little bit more. So if I go to time left and just expand it some more and bring it into center there. turn it off again, and let's test this once more. So you can see what's happening here. The calculation is working as it should do because it did display the 1000 in the correct place. So let's complete the level. So you can see 141 times 100 should be 14,100 plus 1000 should make 15,100. So there's our score. So we can see the score calculation for all of this is working as it should. Now you can spruce this up a little bit, have maybe some sound effects here and there to make it a little bit more jazzy or whatever. It's entirely up to you how you want to cope with that, but that's the basics of how you'd be able to calculate the score. We will be dealing more with score at a later date anyway, because when we get around to using player prefs to kind of save and transfer data, it'll come into play then as well. So I'm going to save that scene, and I'm going to go to File and New Scene, and I'm instantly going to File and Save Scene As, and I'm going to call this Main Menu. Now, the main menu is not going to be used massively in this tutorial. Basics of it is it's where we come to choose what we want to do. So we're going to quickly create at least a main menu type of thing here by going Game Object, UI, and just text. I'm going to call this Jimmy and Unity Platform. Now that's a real silly name for a game. Obviously yours would not be as silly as mine, but hey, it's quick and easy. So I'm just using text for now. I'm going to have that Good Times RG font, and I'm going to have it bold, and I'm going to have it 36. So obviously I need to change this. Have it at the top, up there. Change the position. So we've done all this before, so we know what we're doing here. We don't need to kind of explain what's going on. And right click, rename, and let's just have this as menu text. And generally within menus, we see buttons. So game object, 3D object, sorry, not 3D object, UI, and button. This button we'll just call play game for now. And let's hold Control, press D to duplicate, and let's have this one called Quit Game. Now it's worth explaining at this point, Unity is fantastic when it comes to buttons and mobile development. The buttons will work absolutely perfectly as they are. There's no extra code need to get them working on mobile devices to touch. So it's not a fantastic looking menu, and it's something that we will get into later on. I just want to kind of create it to at least start it because I want to show the workings and sequencing of how things work. So I'm going to right click and rename the first button and simply just call it the same as what the text says. Play game. Same with button 1. Quit game. And finally what I think I'll do is I will add an actual skybox. So I'm going to go to the lighting again, skybox material, and I'm just going to pick that skybox. So press play, and there's our very, very simple but non-working main menu. But we will get that working soon enough, guys. Now, the last thing we want to do in this one is a splash screen. And a splash screen is where you can display your game studio, your name, or whatever you want. And I'm going to make it a little bit animated. And there's different ways you can animate it depending on what you want to do. Maybe a fade screen, maybe a little fizzle, maybe a twist, all different things. So I'm going to go new scene, and instantly again, save scene as splash screen. And I'm simply going to have this completely black with my logo in the middle. So UI, raw image, change it to black, and I want it stretched all the way. So it's down here anchored. And 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 to completely cover the entire screen. Textures, I'm going to drag and drop the texture, which is my JV logo. I'm not going to bother putting this on the website because you're obviously not Jimmy Vegas Game Studios, that's me. But I will put the scripts we've written here on the website so you can go there to download them if you so need them. So, game object and UI and raw image again. I want it centered, which is fine, so let's put it in the center, and I'm going to drag and drop my logo here on the texture. Stretch it to something half decent, about there. Center it again. And what I'm going to do is rotate it on, in fact, what axis? I'll rotate it on the X. So rotation, I'm going to have 90 there. So when we press play, we see literally nothing. So we create the animation for that. So in our animations, I'm going to right click, rename, and just call this JV logo, just so as I know what it is. And on the animation tab, create, logo, spin, save. So press record, and the first keyframe is going to be what it is right now. And we're only going to deal with the rotation. So I'm going to retype 90 on the X rotation. So by half a second in, which will be 30 frames, hit enter. I want it to be 0, so it's completely there. And I want that to then display for, let's say, 3 seconds, 4 seconds maybe. So we add 3 or 4 seconds worth of frames to here. So 3 seconds would be 180 because we're working 60 frames a second. Add 30 would make that 210. So at the 210th frame, I still want this not to be 90. I want it to be 0. So make sure we put some random number in there, retype 0, and hit enter. So what this does is it will rotate to there, Jimmy Vegas Game Studios, and then Jimmy Vegas Game Studios will display nicely for a couple of seconds. And then after another half a second, I want it to rotate downwards. So at frame 240, hit enter. I want to set rotation to 180. Is that right? Let me just check. So 90 comes to 0, so I want it minus 90. And press the record button. Back to the project. And let me find it, logo spin. And we just need to loop time off. And let's see how this looks. Okay, so not entirely happy with how that looks and how it comes on straight away, but we're going to write a script now to take us from one menu to another. So I'm going to save that scene and I'm going to turn off JV logo. And if we go to our scripts folder, right click, create C# script, and let's call this splash to menu. So we have to be mindful of how long we've spent in the animation. There's 3 seconds waiting, and then there's 2 half seconds spinning. So that's 4 seconds total. So what we'll do is we will get rid of void update because we don't need it, and we don't need any annotations. We do need to define that one as a variable. So public game object the logo semicolon. And we're going to do a coroutine in this. So we're going to use IEnumerator, because we're going to wait, aren't we? So IEnumerator, run, splash, open close bracket, open curly bracket. And after we've done that, we need in the start method, start coroutine, and in brackets, run, splash, open close bracket, semicolon. So first things first, I'm going to yield, return, new, wait for seconds, and in brackets I'm going to wait for half a second, so 0.5 f, close bracket, semicolon. At that point I'm going to turn the logo on, so the logo dot set active true, semicolon. So that's going to run its animation, so we need to wait for at least 4 seconds. So we're going to go yield, return new, wait for seconds, and I'm going to wait for 4.5 just to be safe. Semicolon. Remember, the F needs to be at the end there because it is a decimal number. So at this point, we need to use scene management because we're transferring to a different scene. So remember, we need that to be in our namespace. Using Unity Engine dot scene management, semicolon, which means at this point, scene manager dot load scene. I'm just going to put open close bracket and semicolon for now and save the script because we need to set main menu into the settings. So if we go to main menu and go to file, build settings and add open scenes. Now we can reorder if we want to, and I think probably we should start reordering at this point. So I'm going to move main menu up to be scene 1 and save. And now let's go to the splash screen, file, build settings, add open scenes, and I'm going to make splash screen scene 0. So scene 0 is going to be the first scene that loads whenever we open this game as an executable, whether it's on mobile, whether it's on the machine, whether it's on a console. It's always going to be scene 0. So splash screen is going to be the first scene we want to see. So let's save that. And now, because we know we can load scene 1 to be the main menu, that's where we put it. So make sure we have scene 1 right there. So back into Unity, game object, and we'll create an empty game object. Right click, rename, splash sequence, and we put the script, which is splash to menu, onto there. The logo, obviously, JV logo right there. Save the scene. Now before we go any further, remember we have changed scenes here. So build settings. I'm going to have redirect level still as 2 and level 01 as 3. So that means we're going to have to make a couple of alterations within our scenes. If we remember the level depth, so we don't want to be taken to scene 0 anymore because that is the main menu. We want to be taken to scene 2 because that is the initial scene, remember, that takes us into the level. So change that one in level depth to 2 and save. Now we have to remember that there is also the case of redirecting. So if we go to redirect to level, remember this one here. So at the moment we have this currently set as something simple. We're going to change this to 3 and make sure we change this to 3 here as well. So we're on redirect to level. Make sure we set it to 3 for now. Now the idea of what's going to happen is in the future when we have multiple levels, every time we load a level, it's going to load the correct value here to take us to the correct level. But I'll explain more about that as we get into it. So let's test this whole sequence of events from our splash screen now. So let's press play. Perfect. So that is how that works. And obviously from here, the sequencing would be play game and it will take us to level 1. And we can go from there. So next time what we'll look at linking all this together. We'll look at actually creating that level startup script to define what level code we should be using when we reset our game. And we may look at credits as well. So a nice simple credit scene. And we'll also look at stopping UnityChan from moving around in a cool, unique way when we complete the level. So guys, until that next episode, thank you very much for watching.